Hey guys, I've been getting a lot of questions about trend and then just kind of general trend, uptrends and downtrends, and how these linear lines get added into my charts and stuff. I just wanted to go into it because I feel like it's because of all these questions. I would have thought that this is um, like general TA that a lot of people would know, but I'm just kind of assuming that, right? And that's my own fault. I shouldn't assume that people know what I know, right? Um, so I wanted to take the time to kind of, explain trend lines a little bit and what they actually mean, what they mean for price, what they mean for, future predictions or forecast. And I think that I can, I'll start off by, using Amazon. Let me take this away because, just to be a little bit more clear. So a general trend is kind of like a linear direction where where price tends to go in a respect of that price, right? So as of right now, you see kind of you have peaks at Amazon on September 9th of 3,500, and you have a slow trickle down of price ever since up here, right? Usually what that means is you have you have lower highs and lower lows. By that I mean is you see these peaks right here. So you have like a peak, you go down. You have a peak, you go down. You have a peak, you go down. Usually what that means, an easy way to detect trend is just by looking at peaks. Peaks on the high side of trend, peaks on the low side of trend, right? So this would be considered a lower high right here, right? So lower high, you would have a lower high right here. Whoops, should probably made that a little bit bigger. And then you have a lower high right there. Same thing for these lows, right? So you have a lower low right there. You have a lower low right here, and you have a lower low right there, right? It's a pretty basic pattern of, up, down, up again, down, or sorry, up, down. Actually, this has to go away because it shouldn't be there. So up, down, up, and then right now you're sort of retesting resistance here, right? But generally, this is an easy way to detect a downtrend, right? You have lower highs and then you have lower lows. An even easier way to actually detect this. So usually when we're on a downtrend like this, I tend to only take sells, right? I would only look for sells, and I would only look for sells at the trend line resistance, right? So how I create these trend lines is, let me delete this last one just so it can be clear. But how I create trend lines is usually from the peak high, right, which would be right here. I would start off at the first instance that we're actually seeing bear movement, right, which would be this candle right here, right? So I usually always use the bear candle at the peak that we have going on. So I tend to put it like right here, and then just go all the way down to just look at price, where price is hitting, right, generally. So you want to have really every single peak high touch, right? So you kind of have a peak there, you have a peak here, peak price right here, and then it just kind of goes all the way down, right? So generally what I like to do is make sure that my line is touching all these wicks. So this wick, possibly this wick right here, maybe this one, wick and wick right there, right? So what I want to do is put my line as close as possible to every single one of these without actually going over the actual candle, right? So you see this is a candle right there, and then the wick is the little pointy part, right, like a little candle. What I would usually do is just go all the way down like this without really trying to touch every single peak without going like this, right? I don't want to go like that because that doesn't make sense. But I want to go all the way down where I'm pretty close to touching every single candle without really going like in the middle like that, right? Like not crossing in the middle. You want to sort of be like on the top of the wick, or possibly even you can cross over a little bit of the candle. It should be fine. But generally you want to have a pretty nice trend on the low side, like that, right? That's a pretty easy way of looking at it. So right here you have, just a basic downtrend going this way, right? So this is what you would have a downtrend. When it comes to a downtrend, what I don't really like to do is I don't really like to add trends on the low side. So what I can do is I can add something like this. Like I'll add like, bullish candle. I'll do something like that, right? So you can kind of have a general idea of where you can actually go. So it'll say, oh, it'll go down. It's wicking up here, probably goes up. I don't really care about adding a trend on the bottom side of this of this downtrend, because I don't trade down here. I would never take these trades to run up, because this is already on the downtrend, and I would only be looking for sells up here. Sell, 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 right? So I don't really care how far it goes down. To me, I'm only really looking for trades when it hits, when price starts getting really close to trend. But yeah, this would be a general downtrend. It's just a way of figuring out, what direction price is going to, and if it's actually respecting it, right? So now, what are the instances that can happen, or what can happen when trend breaks? Usually what happens when trend breaks is you have your downtrend is completely canceled, and then usually you end up going somewhere into a bull cycle, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen. You either just kind of trade sideways for a bit, or what can happen is, what usually happens most of the time is you break trend, right? You come up to like here, come back and retest, and then you just run up to previous like resistance, right? That's usually what happens. Once you break a downtrend, it's all this is completely like canceled out, and then it's a completely new pattern. So you can either trade sideways or you're gonna go up. It's very rare that if you break trend, if you break the downtrend, it's very rare that you actually keep going all the way back down. It definitely happens, but for the most part, this is usually a pretty good sign of a reversal, right? Once trend breaks, usually that means that you're more than likely going to start trading sideways and creating a new like range pattern, where you only trade between like this area, or you just generally go up, right? So I'm not gonna get into ranges. I'm not gonna get into anything else. This is really just what a trend is. What happens if it breaks and stuff, and then what usually happens when it breaks, right? So this is usually about 90% of the time you're gonna see something like this. It's gonna trade sideways, or it's gonna go up, and the same thing goes for uptrends, right? See, you have this uptrend right here. I don't really like these uptrends right here, because it's a pretty big straight shot. I like to have slow, gradual rises. It's very easy to tell where something is going, right? But again, you have a trend from right here to right here. Here's another example on the bull side on Amazon, right? So you have a trend right here. You have the starting point, which is a bull candle, the wick. You go all the way up. Let's go like right there, right? See? General trend. You have your low point, you have a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Well, and then this is the problem, right? You have a higher high, not a higher high, but a higher low, and then you break trend, and then boom, you go all the way down, right? And then you kind of trade sideways a little bit right here. See, you go down and then you go back up. So you're still trading in this general range, and then you start a completely new downtrend pattern like that, right? And that's usually how everything trades is, you're either consolidating or you're moving on uptrends and downtrends. That's it. Not usually, every single instance of, what's it called, of any ticker that trades is, you're usually going to have like jump up, you're probably going to trade sideways, then jump up, trade sideways, come down, trade sideways, right? That's usually what happens. It's not going to be a straight shot. You're going to be up, trade sideways, maybe down, trade sideways, up, trade sideways, down, trade sideways. That's usually what happens like 95% of the time. So ranges are also extremely important to figure out where direction is and how to swing trade. But again, I don't want to get into that, because this thing can get super complex really quickly. But yeah, that's generally what happens. That's how you create a downtrend. That's how you find an uptrend right here. It's not too hard to understand. It should be relatively simple. I usually do the uptrends based off of wicks. So that's perfect. Well, actually, that's horrible. I do it like possibly like right there. Yeah. So usually how I do it is I do it based off the wick, not the candle. And that's usually it, right? That's pretty much it. Like I would take sell here, and a sell right there. But trend, downtrend, and then the one is an uptrend. And then basically when it gets broken, there's like a 95% chance that you're either going to shoot up or you're going to trade sideways. Very rarely do you keep going all the way down, since breakup trends usually end up being more of a reversal. So that's why when you're in a downtrend like this and you actually end up breaking that trend, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna trade sideways and then possibly go down again, or you're gonna go up. But it's really rare that you break trend and you go straight down, right? That's very, very, very rare. I mean, you can trade sideways and then go down, but I think usually what happens like 95% of the time is either you break, you come back and retest the previous high, which is right here, which would be what, like 33.17. You would go up, come back, retest here, and then you would shoot up to like 3,500 eventually. Or you trade sideways and then you shoot up, or you trade sideways and then you come back down. But like, again, usually what happens after this is you just trade sideways, or you break and you go up. So I hope that explains a quick explanation of what a trend is, how to create it both an uptrend and a downtrend. It's not very hard. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, pretty easy and straightforward. And then what usually tends to happen after trends break, it usually ends up in sideways trading or a full reversal. So I'll see you guys later. I hope this video was informative. I try to make it, relatively easy to understand. I'm not the best teacher, but I'm trying. But it works in my head. I know how to do it, but I know it's still new to a lot of people. So I'm trying to explain this as best as I can, right? So I'll see you guys later. If you guys like these videos, give me a thumbs up and comment below for me to see, or if you guys wanted me to explain anything else that you guys would like to see as far as like trading goes, as far as like patterns, candlestick patterns, trends, what happens if certain patterns break or stuff like that. So I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.